welcome everyone to our weekly Tuesday Rainmakers Power Hour with, of course, Miss Wendy Butler, myself today, and we have our co-host Ollie and our special guest, Mr. Sir Michael. And we're going to know more about him, but today we're going to talk about his story and how he's involved in this crazy luxury magazine. I'm just so excited to learn more. I know that Wendy met Sir Michael in real life, and we want to know all the juicy details. And I know there's going to be some more events coming up. I can't even tell you the details because it's at the end of the month, right, Wendy? So I'm going to go ahead and make a quick, of course, thank you to our tech team, Mr. Paul and Nigelon, and everyone here that is showing up every Tuesday to hear about all these amazing guests that come on and talk about business. And we're going to dive deep today on Sir Michael's story, and then we're going to go ahead and ask him these deep questions at the very end. So go ahead, Wendy. I'm going to hand it to you.
Thank you so much, Chris. So I do want to give a big shout out to Ali over here with Smarter Aircraft. He is our sponsor, the next generation of private aviation investments. You can find him over at smarteraircrafts.com as icon and see all of his information and links to his to be able to find him. But today we have the honor of having Sir Michael Honablue. I mean, such a very long list of accomplishments. Very honored to have you here. Let's talk about some of the things you've done. A true Renaissance figure in the world of arts and entertainment with 4 Emmy Award winning awards. 3-time Telly Award winner, got started in entertainment with MTV, then moved on to Plum TV, which led to an involvement with launching a luxury focused channel in Miami. His work extended into partnerships with prestigious brands like the National Polo Club and Mercedes. But beyond his accomplishments in the TV industry, he also is considered to be a master in the art of architecture. Studied at very renowned institutions like Parsons in Paris, Pratt in New York City, and Harvard. Can't wait to hear about those things, and how you into the entertainment industry after that. Recently knighted by German royalty. Amazing story on that. But now you're primarily focused as the CEO and founder of the company Global Billionaire Magazine. But after talking to you last night, you do like to focus on giving back through multiple charities. So welcome to our show tonight. I'm glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you all. This is interesting.
Yeah, how do you like the app?
This is like a future way of giving interviews. I like it. This is my first time on this app. I set up proper lighting for this, so I hope I look good for you guys.
You look great, and hands off to our tech team who helps with all of those things and recording and making sure these are sent out to various other locations. But Nelson Apega, we thank you for the app. He's actually going to try to get in here. He had an emergency with one of his children, but anyway, doing okay, but is running a little bit late. But anyway, so let's talk about. You went to, that is a long program. And then after, I guess, so many years of entertainment, why did you switch? What happened? What was the reason for the transition?
Well, I started off as an artist. I used to paint. And I was asked to go to a college to paint, but they didn't offer a scholarship. So I knew they didn't take it seriously. So wanted to go do kind of like the highest of the arts, which was architecture. At the time, we were living in a house designed by one of Frank Lloyd Wright's students. And my mother had him over to do some renovations. And we talked about architecture and how it's changed throughout the years since, of course, Frank Lloyd Wright's designing it through the 60s, 70s. and how a lot of power was taken away from the architects. So I kind of knew from there that I wasn't going, you know, I was going to be an architect, but I was going to look for other avenues in different industries and just use the discipline from architecture to guide me. So I studied at Parsons in Paris. It was a great intensive program. And then I finished up at Pratt. And, I finished the program. I worked for various architecture firms in New York, doing residential and commercial. And I truly love the field, and I love architects. I love how I love their style. I love the way they think, and I love to be around them. However, I didn't love, doing AutoCAD all day and working a 9 to 5. That wasn't, that wasn't my thing. Um, when I graduated, I married into a big entertainment family. We all know them. And I started helping them out with some of their productions. And so I was doing that on the side, working as an architect and doing that on the side. Once I got my big break at MTV, I received a development deal for a show. I kind of left architecture behind and went full throttle into the entertainment industry. But what's interesting is when I was doing architecture, I was using a program called 3D Max. And with 3D Max, you could design, before AI, you could design a building and then you could set up camera angles within the space and have characters and move them around. And then you would have to use a program to edit that. So I really fell in love with editing, and that became like my thing. And that's what led me into the producing and being able to create my own productions because I could do the post-production, really. And then from MTV, I met Tom Scott, who was the founder of Nantucket Nectars. He sold Nantucket Nectars and decided to start a channel, which was for the rich. And he bought up local TV channels in various areas, the Hamptons, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Aspen, Vail, Telluride. And he had these shows. I mean, it wasn't very luxurious, It was kind of like old money Hamptons vibe, but this was for them, it was something for them. And then they were able to bring in some big brands like NetJets and Cadillac and different brands to be a part of this. Even the former owner of MTV was part of it. Jack and Kate Spade were part of it. Pharrell was part of it. So it was something new. It wasn't done before. And that is what really started my career. So they liked my show that was airing in the Hamptons in Nantucket. And they said, look, we're opening up a channel in Miami Beach. Would you go there? And I'm like, look, I kind of like New York. Can I just go to the Hamptons? And they're like, no, we got to send you to either Telluride or Miami Beach because those are our new channels. So I have a lot of family here in Miami Beach. My mom's Panamanian and I have a Caribbean, Jamaican grandmother, and they're all here. So I came to Miami Beach, and that's what launched my career in the luxury space. Yes.
Yeah, isn't it funny how you start out in one career and one aspect of it you like so much that it leads you in a totally different direction? Pretty amazing. And then you ended up moving down to full time. Was that right after that?
Yes. Came to Miami Beach in 2007. I didn't know anything about Miami except for Miami Vice and the Golden Girls. And
great shows.
I fell in love with Miami Vice because of the contemporary architecture and of course the exotic cars and just the landscape. That I think that they have the best intro I've ever seen on TV. And what's what's interesting about that show is that at the time they did something that was never done before because do you remember how the scenes were? The scenes were kind of like drawn out and really beautifully shot. But at that time with Miami Vice, MTV was big. So the formula for Miami Vice was shoot everything like a music video. So that's what kind of like captivated me because I was in the music videos and then it all came together. So when I came to Miami, you know, my first assignment was to film the Mercedes-Benz Swim Week. And this was at the Raleigh Hotel. And I was like, man, this must be the best job ever. Like, this is amazing. You know, I got to meet Tyson, a lot of, you know, designers and see, you know, fashion shows, swimwear fashion shows. And it was beautiful. And then I met so many people because Plum TV was new here. You know, we had the foundation of of New York and this and that. So I kind of like just hit the ground running, made a lot of connections in the luxury space, and started winning a lot of Emmys for my documentaries and original shows.
Wow.
Sir Michael, can you touch on the Art Basel part? Because I noticed in your intro that you were you got there really early on.
Yeah.
So what was your involvement in the development of that community? Because it is a community and there's a cross between music, art, and fashion. It's all boiled in one. So I want to hear about that journey. All
right. So like in 2007, you know, Miami was fresh. There was no social media. There was a lot of nightlife. And I was kind of coming off the nightlife in New York. So, you know, back to the MTV show, that MTV show was about skateboarders because I'm a big skateboarder. I've been skating my whole life and I love the culture. So I did a show for these kids that I knew. And when I came to Miami, you know, looking into Miami and doing like Googling Miami Beach, and there was like a big divide between the mainland and the beach. Like everyone hated each other. Like if you're a beach person, like you didn't get along with the mainland people. So what happened is I met a group of hipsters, like, and I got with this hipster crowd that was like listening to different music and like changing the landscape to kind of what it is now because hipster is mainstream, right? And I got into the arts also by meeting everybody, and I learned about Art Basel. When I got there, I did not know what Art Basel was, and I had to learn, you know. And Art Basel started in Basel, Switzerland, with 3 galleries. It grew, and then it came to Miami Beach in about like 2002, 2003, and became the largest contemporary art fair in the world. And then, of course, it went to Hong Kong, and then most recently, it's in Paris now, in October. So I remember that we were creating so much content leading up to Art Basel, interviewing like the top collectors, the Rubel family, Marty Magdalese, the Brahmans, all like top 5 collectors in the world. And then of course, the artists that were going to be featured. And I was like, wow, our channel looks so beautiful. You know, like we should just do an art channel pretty much. But what happened is we put it all together because of my post-production skills. I was able to take all the different producers' videos, you know, put it all together, write a narration, get a person to kind of host it, and then that won an Emmy. That was my first. That was my second Emmy actually, and then it was funny because my first day at the fair, which was in the convention center, you know, I saw Steve Martin, and I just went up to Steve Martin. I was like, oh my God, you know. and started talking to him. And I didn't know, like, Steve Martin's like a huge art collector, you know? So I met, that's, Art Basel is the only time where we get A-list people, A-list celebrities, and like the creme de la creme in Miami. All of New York comes to Miami Beach during Art Basel, and now it's gotten out of control. And we've actually formed a partnership with the magazine with Design Miami, which is Art Basel's sister fair. They do primarily furniture, and so we go with them to Milan during Design Week, and then they host in Basel and then Paris as well. So it's become really nice. But the first Emmy that I won with Plum TV was for the International Polo Championship. And that was similar, where I had to take all the producers' work, the interviews with the players, the patrons, different key individuals, and put it all together, get a narrator, and then boom. So that's Plum TV.
Well, I know we have some questions to ask you. So I'm going to start with a few, and then I'm going to hand it over to Wendy. But what inspired your journey into the world of luxury, media, and philanthropy? Because we want to know what's in your head. Tell us what inspires you on that journey.
Well, I've kind of, I don't know. I didn't grow up like super wealthy, right? I mean, both my parents are doctors. We lived nice. We lived in nice areas. I knew luxury. But what happened is, at the age of 8, my mother was getting the Robb Report. She subscribed to the Robb Report for my brother. And he looked at it, and then I would take him. So every week, every month, I got a new Robb Report. I knew about the yachts at 10 years old. I knew about the cars. I knew everything. And it just grew on me. Fast forward to the magazine, Global Billionaire. It's the Robb Report for women, for high net worth women. So it stayed with me. With regards to philanthropy, I'm the most giving person I've ever met. I mean, I've always been giving. I've always been helping. Like, that's what I do. It brings me pleasure. But I took it to the next level after Plum TV. When I met a lady, we were actually, like, after Plum TV, I started a production company, and we were actually filming for like a designer, and there was this lady that had a trunk show going on. And my friend was like, "You need to talk to this lady." So I didn't know who she was. And they were like, so they were doing the production. I totally ignored the production and was talking to her the whole time in the other room. And her name is Joan Hornig. So she invited me. She was from New York. She invited me. She was staying at the Ritz on Key Biscayne. She said, "You should come talk to me. I'm going to show you my jewelry that I have here at the Ritz." So I go there. We hit it off. I meet her husband, George, and then we all went out for dinner that night to Casa Tua, and then I gave them an architecture tour. So this lady, Joan Hornig, she's started off in finance. She has a jewelry line that's in Bergdorf Goodman, and 100% of the proceeds go to whatever charity you want it to go to. So she inspired me to the next level. And so I said, how can I help? So we worked out a deal where I would create content, short films with my friends that were like socialites, like Sarah Arison from the Arison family. Mickey Arison owns the Miami Heat, and now Sarah's huge, but she was just starting off in the beginning. So, they did her grandparents did the New World Symphony with Frank Gehry here in Miami Beach. So I filmed her at the New World Symphony, and then like in a beautiful gown with the jewelry on, and then in the the voiceover is her talking about how she was inspired by her grandparents. That's why she gives back. So I did about 5 of those videos. And then Joan was like, you know what? We should do a channel. We should do a philanthropy channel. So then we started a channel. And we built the website, had a back end for the website where it was like a community and you could receive points for giving back and sharing articles. And you get all this points, a point system. And then we're going to events, we're doing all the foundations, we're doing our own events, and we almost sold it in 1 year. And it was called Philanthropy Is. But we weren't able to sell it, but we kept it going. And all of that is incorporated into what I'm doing today. And I'll see Joan. Wow. I'll see Joan on Sunday, actually, in New York, because we have another project that we're working on, which is huge.
Well, that comes full circle. So when you said number 8, 8 is my lucky number. So that really hits home. And when you said that you started reading the Robb Report at the age of 8, I started looking at the magazines in Newport. I grew up in Newport Beach, and nice. I didn't come from a wealthy family, but I went to UC Irvine, which is right there in Newport. So every time I would go to the Mercedes dealership at Fletcher Jones or the Rolls-Royce down there, I would always pick one of those reports up, the Robb Report. And it turns out the Robb Report publisher is my friend, Richard Sedler.
Wow.
So, and he happened to be on a previous audio app called Clubhouse. That's how I met him and became really good friends. But it's all about the vision. It's all about the manifestation by looking at these inspirational books and what you feed your mind. So that was really nice. Thank you for that answer. Mm-hmm. Second question. Oh my God. You've built a reputation for creating glamorous, purpose-driven events. What is your vision when curating experiences like those hosted by Global Billionaire? Want to hear about it.
All right. So I've always hosted little events that, we've always had nice homes, and my mother would give me the basement to decorate and I would turn it into a club pretty much. I had the record, like the turntables. I built a stage. I had a VIP room, and I would host. I'm a host. It's not about me. I don't have a good time at these parties. It's about everybody else. And that started early, And so, with the Global Billionaire, we launched with Rolls-Royce, with Bremen Rolls-Royce, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead with this, but when I still do a lot of producing, right? And I have producers in New York. They hit me up for different shows to cast people and this and that. One of the people that they wanted to meet was this lady named Anna Reyes, who has a big event company. So we went to Carbone. I told her, like, look, we got to shoot you, got to do this and that. And then we did that, and then we're kind of waiting to get a response. While we're waiting, she tells me, I'm starting a Rolls-Royce club for women. And I was like, okay. And she wants me to be part of it. And like, literally, I'm like the only guy, and but I'm part of it. And I don't have a Rolls-Royce. I have an Uber account.
So you're in the Rolls-Royce club for women, and you're not a woman and you don't have a Rolls-Royce. Hey, but they still invited you. That shows a lot for you.
Yeah. So we launched with them. That's how we built the magazine around these women, right? I had a very niche idea. Like, I want to do what these women like and build it around them. And the first events were for them. So the first event was, on the rooftop of the Rolls-Royce dealership. Then I got, then we did a breakfast at Tiffany's. Actually, Elena Cardone was there. And we did a Bulgari Valentine's Day event. Everyone wore red, came, bought jewelry. A percentage goes to the foundation. Then we had like a lunch at a table. So everything's very curated. I'm the host. I make sure everyone's taken care of. I make sure we always have gift bags. I make sure we have the best of the best champagne. If we have a DJ, every event that I've done with my wife, I'm a big fan of Bocelli. I love opera. So we always have an opera singer, you know. So I would say that our events are white glove. We always use the word elevated. Hold on. We always use the word elevated. And we always have a philanthropy angle. And I learned that through Joan Hornig. She has it's like a party with a purpose, pretty much. So we've done Dolce & Gabbana, we've done Balmain, big fashion show with Balmain for Angels for Humanity. We're working on the new event in October. I'm trying to get a designer now for that. But they're beautiful events, and they're not for everybody. It's invite only. And my wife handles the RSVP. We don't know, if we're not familiar with the name, she will reach out to them and be like, how did you get an invite? And we vet, just like Ali vets.
That's right.
Wow, wow, these stories, you're never going to forget the stories that you're telling us here, and you're taking us down memory lane. But here's another question for you. How did your upbringing or early career experiences shape the values you lead with today? Right? Because the past helps you frame how you are today. So how's your upbringing?
Well, my family, they're both physicians. They worked very hard to get through medical school. You know how that is. And we were kind of like, we had to get good grades, but it wasn't all about the grades. It was just kind of like, apply yourself. I saw my brother when he was young. We're an equestrian family as well. My brother was a champion jumper, English style, and we would travel with him to compete. I was kind of like the rebel. He was the golden child, and I just learned from what I saw around me. I have a very, strong family, and we had values, and everything just worked out because I never forget where I'm from and the sacrifice my parents made to get me to where I need to be. Even though my mother wasn't happy with me not doing architecture anymore, she had a fit. But I told her, I know what I'm doing. And when I won my first Emmy, she understood, that this was something good. And yeah, I don't know if I answered the whole question.
I think you hit it, because we get a feeling of how you were raised and what is important for you, and it really defines who you are. It's a lot of stuff that people learn in school, but a lot of it is learned at home. So I'm going to hand it over to Wendy to ask the two next questions. I'm dying to hear the answer of. Go ahead, Wendy.
Oh no.
Well, I am curious. You've done so much philanthropy, very admirable. Was there any specific philanthropy that was near and dear to your heart that you want to talk to us about? And I know that Rhett, we'll probably talk to him about this in a little bit, but he did a lot of charity work back in his poker days, and he talked specifically about ones that really hit home. Which ones hit home for you?
It's a great question. So, with my production company, at one point we started doing working with lawyers. We were helping them out with some content. And I happened to meet this lady named Constance. And she was being interviewed. And then I was talking to her assistant, and I said, if you need any help with your foundation, you can call me anytime, right? I'll help out, pro bono, whatever. So a year later, she calls me and she's like, look, we're building, All right, so let me tell you, the foundation's called Lotus House. And what they do is they build shelters. They had like 5 shelters. This lady was a big time lawyer. She gave it all up. She worked with Marty Magdalene, who was in my Art Basel documentary. He was like the #3 art collector in the world. That was her ex-husband. And he helped, the financial part. They built all these different homes for underprivileged women and women suffering from, abuse or whatever. And this was in historic Overtown, like the Black community in Miami Beach, very historic. In Miami. So they said to me that, look, we're building a new shelter. We have a lot of funding. We have the mayor, everybody's helped with this, and we're building a huge shelter. Would you like to do the documentary for the building of the shelter? So I said, sure. Let me talk to my partner. We got back to her, and we got started. So we spent a year with these women, with the builders, as they built this shelter. And at the end, we even filmed them getting their letter of occupancy. Like, we just happened to be there that day. Like, we did a lot of filming within a year. And this was like no money, right? That's why I had to talk to my partner to see if he would do this, I would do it, but I need help. So we put together a 30-minute documentary, and they loved it. Marty Magdalene cried when he saw it. And the reason why, we met a lot of people, we heard a lot of stories, women that were homeless, sleeping in their cars, and the shelter was available to them. And then they stayed for like a couple months, got on their feet, were able to get a house. It's like a lot of stories. They built a kitchen where the women could learn about how to cook so they could, go off and work for a restaurant. They do, it's an amazing thing that they're doing. So we did the documentary, and they used it as a tool. Every volunteer had to see it. Every donor had to see it. Every staff member had to see it. And we had a gala, and they played the documentary at the gala. After the screening, they raised $2.5 million for the charity, for the foundation. And now they're
Incredible.
they're doing bigger things. So this was the first Emmy that I won outside of Plum TV. So it was like, it was crazy to me that, because I was feeling like, man, I need to stay in the game. I need to win awards. Sometimes you feel that you're not doing enough, right? And I won with them on my own, no big production crew, no company behind me. And it's like my most, I talk about it every day.
Definitely amazing story. And just think about all the people that you helped doing that and continue to help, because they're going to remember that. And those experiences will probably move on to others, and hopefully they will give back as well. So great story there. I do want to ask you, we're going to move on a little bit more to your Global Billionaire magazine and what you're doing over there now. I know you've got some things coming up in Monaco. Tell us about your magazine and what all you're doing with it. I hear there's also some philanthropic things going on with the magazine.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you how it all began. So I remember when I was at Plum TV, I told them, I was like, we need a Plum TV magazine. And they're like, no, we don't. And I was like, yes, you do. Like, we need to bring it all together. It would be good. And then eventually they did it, and then went bankrupt later on because they had too many cooks in the kitchen. I was off on my own by then. So my beautiful wife, Malika Vandervennet, She came all the way from Belgium to marry me.
You know, that
Right
you've
here.
mentioned her several times, and I'm going to tell you, I can't wait to meet her. You know, I love it when it's their wife. I mean, guys, give us a thumbs up in the audience if you love that. I mean, come on. We've got to meet her. Sorry, I had to give you the kudos for
So
that. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's good. It's good. So, you know, she started, it's crazy. It's like I did 5 years of architecture, and then she started a design company from being a classically trained ballerina to a design company, and I can't even do anything she's doing. She reads blueprints. She deals with contractors. I can't do any of that. And she built this company, successful company in South of Fifth, a very high net worth community in Miami Beach, a condo community, right on the water. So, you know, we have coffee every morning. And I said to her, I was like, why don't we build a magazine for this community? Because you know everybody, you're in all the buildings. Like, let's just do something very niche for this high net worth community. And she was like, that's a good idea. That's kind of how it started. At the same time, I was working, kind of like doing some articles for a billionaire magazine out of London. And I was hooking him up with covers. I got him like this woman that was a Porsche driver, actually a friend of my wife's, and she lives in Malibu. So I got her to be on the cover of this. But I was like, man, this guy's doing it all wrong. You know, he's doing it all wrong. So I even asked him, I was like, look, I'm going to do Billionaire Miami Beach. And he was like, you got my blessing. So that's how it started. It was, my light went out. All right. It was Billionaire Miami Beach. And then I did Billionaire Aspen. And then I did Billionaire St. Bart's or something, or Monaco. Like, I don't remember, but these were Instagram accounts. And I was like, man, this is insane. I can't manage all this. Let's just do Global Billionaire, one account, one magazine, and just launch that. And that's how it all got started. So it became a hit in Miami first, you know, amongst the high net worth women. And then, which I feel like is an underserved area. And then it moved all the way down to Palm Beach. And then, you know, we have New York because I've got a lot of people still in New York. And then we spread it all around. And we did a deal during the Palm Beach Yacht Show with a company out of Monaco. And now we're launching in Monaco in September.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that last night. So Monaco, I mean, you are just worldwide spread, and you're also, but you're also doing charity work through
Yeah,
the magazine. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the magazine is fashion, art, travel. We have the Yacht Club, Private Jet Club, the Rolls-Royce Club, and philanthropy is the foundation of it all. So if you go on our Instagram account at the Global Billionaire, you're going to see a lot of pictures, a lot of events, and 98% of all those events are for charities. All of them.
So it's basically like the magazine is featuring billionaires from around the world, but it's also would you say that's true? Or bringing attention to their charities, maybe we should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just billionaires. It's just the high net worth world. We have, you know, billionaires in the mix. But like my wife said, it's about the $1 billion heart. You know, it's the $1 billion heart.
Man, I love this guy.
He's great. Yes, definitely. I mean, this guy is awesome. The $1 billion heart. I love it. So speaking of, now there is a community that you're a member of, the R360 Members Club, and you have told me that that plays a huge, important role in your network. Has that community influenced your work?
Yeah, so we're actually strategic partners with our 360 Members Club. I was able
And
to
for
meet.
and explain, excuse me, Michael, just explain to people what that is, because I don't know that everyone knows about the R360.
All right, so R360 started as, all right, first there's a group called Tiger 21. I'm sure everyone's heard about this. Tiger 21, you have to have like 30 million. It's about 300 members. And they do events. They have, capital raise talks, philanthropy, everything. It's a members club, but not a brick and mortar members club. So a few of the members from that group started R360, but they raised it to 100 million. So you have to have 100 million to be a member, and it's only about 160 members worldwide. And they're very family focused. They're all about leaving a legacy for their, children. They're very down to earth. I don't think any of them are on Instagram. They're not on Instagram.
Okay, that's pretty huge. They're not on Instagram. Interesting. Okay.
There's some key people that are members that I can't talk about. So I was at an event, a beautiful event at Casa Nios here in Miami Beach, the opening. And I met this guy. I told him, I'm founder of the Global Billionaire. And he was like, have you heard of R360? And I'm like, no. And then he sent me their website. I looked it up. I was like, oh, I need to work with them. And he sent me the president's information and said, tell him, you know me, I'm a founder. So I hit it off with the president, and he likes what the Global Billionaire is doing. So we started a strategic partnership. So what does that mean? It means we host events for them. We curate experiences, like we worked on getting them, like we put together an experience where we got the G5 to take 10 members to Paris for Art Basel Paris, stay in a villa, get the VIP treatment, all that. We did we had about 12 members at a penthouse at Aquilina. We had like a mezcal tasting, an opera singer. It was beautiful. We did an event at the bathhouse, Christmas party. We brought like a yacht charter, helped with the venue, did all that. And so we do a lot, and they contact me when they need help with whatever. Like they have a group for their youth, and I help with that. I'll help bring sponsors to things. So it's a great partnership. They're great people. We've met a lot of good friends through them. We were able to meet Pavstone, partner at Pavstone, who we're working with now, Pavstone Family Office, which is amazing. And it's all about your connections. It's all about the circle that you're in. And we have to be very careful with a name like Global Billionaire. So they fit perfectly with what we're doing. And, we work together nicely.
Sounds like a great partnership for sure. Credit, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just soaking all of this in. My question to you, it's like this is, and you keep bringing up putting together events, and that's the core of what I'm able to do. And that's why when I met Ollie, we just hit it off, is because we're consistently hosting, connecting people, connecting ideas, connecting visions, and so forth. And not a lot of people have what's my favorite word in the world is access. Access is my favorite word. And for those who don't know, I'm a credit expert. I help people get access to capital, but then at the same time, connect them to the people that you're able to deploy those funds. So in the same world that you're in, you are in a way connecting people from all parts of the world that wouldn't have access because of, so many different situations. So I love this conversation. Besides the global billionaire, what does your daily life look like? What do you do, Michael? That I want to know about you. Like, what do you do every day? Like, do you meditate in the morning? Do you duck your face in ice like that guy Aston Hall? Like duck your, and then do you like run with the dogs? And I mean, that's so viral on Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah,
skateboarding.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, great questions.
Yeah, I'm going to be meeting with Aston Hall. So I want to know what does your daily life look like? Is it an Aston Hall kind of a thing?
Not at all. I'm not dipping my face in ice, but I'm in Miami Beach. I have a different lifestyle here. I think he was just in Miami, actually. I saw him at an event. But
he was with Ray Lewis.
Yeah, he was at that. Yeah, I saw that during F1. I sit in the jacuzzi and I go swimming. I do laps in the pool. And I play tennis every week. And I read. And I spend a lot of time with my wife. My kids are both in college. My daughter actually graduates on Monday from Pace University. But, I'm pretty low key because we have to go to so many events, so when I have time at home, I'm chilling, and I don't really go to the beach that much, but we have a pool here. I swim here.
Sir Michael, what is your favorite book? If you were to pick a book that has shaped the way you think, what would that book be? Or are you an audiobook kind of guy?
I got a lot of books here.
I'm looking at him, but I mean, for the audience, you may not be able to see, but he's got numerous books behind him.
I don't know. I read this book.
Hard to choose from all of them.
I read Bob Johnson's book. Probably had the most profound effect on me. The founder of BET. And I love his story. I love the way how he fought to the top and became the first Black billionaire. And I was at this event in Wellington, which is the equestrian capital in the world. It was like a polo event and then a gala. And I saw this Black guy and I was like, man, he looks familiar. And I was sitting across the table from him and he looked right at me and smiled. I was with my wife and my friends. We had our own table and he looked right at me and smiled. And I was like, man, this guy looks so familiar, but that can't be him. He's too short.
We won't tell him you said that.
So then we get to valet. And he's talking to some guy and I was about to approach him. And then his car pulled up and then he leaves. And I said to him, I was like, who was that? He was like, that was Bob. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, wow. That's so true.
Oh my God. So in the pictures, I thought he was taller than me, from seeing him for my whole life in pictures. And he was just didn't click, but at least he smiled at me and, I get points for that. But his book is amazing. And Lee Iacocca's book was amazing as well. I read that. And I like, I like The Art of War as well. And then, what else do we have here? I have a lot of architecture books too. Frank Gehry, he's like my favorite. I know a lot about Frank Gehry. And then when it comes to artists, I've read a lot of books by Andy Warhol. He's my favorite artist. And it's not because of his art, it's because of so when Andy Warhol had the factory, he got shot by one of his, hang-ons, like entourage. And then the business team, he almost died. And then a business team came in and changed everything for him and says, look, we need to start doing it like this, this, and this, and this. And then that's when he started Interview Magazine. And Interview Magazine got him at the events, got him super access. And then that's when he started painting all the celebrities. So that
Hey,
always
you just said my favorite word again, access. So do you feel like when you have like a magazine, like a Global Billionaire magazine, that you get access to things that you wouldn't have? I mean, and also, what does your distribution look like? Because people say that magazines print is dead.
It is dead.
Okay, so how is yours different from all the other ones that are out there? How do you compete? How do you get visibility?
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. So, look, if we didn't have social media, I wouldn't be able to have created a community so strong. If I didn't do events, I wouldn't have been able to create a community so strong. What we've done is very different because I don't come from the magazine world and I did not study it at all. We did limited runs and gave them to the right people. You can get it at a gift bag at our events with a Tom Ford gift bag with the magazine wrapped in plastic, and it's not about like circulation with us. And we did have an opportunity to be in 400 airports with this, like the largest largest distribution publishing company, A360. And then we were walking through the airport and it didn't happen. And instead they just put it on their marketplace, their magazine shop, which gets like 500,000 views a month. And we're literally right beside the Rob Report, and then they have it on Amazon too. And I was like, that was kind of like interesting that we didn't get that deal, because when I go to the airport, I don't see anybody reading a magazine and I don't see anybody buying a magazine. Everyone's on their phone. Everyone's on their laptop.
Well, Sir Michael, when I go into the airport, most people go into what's called the Centurion Lounge. And those high-end magazines are in there, like the golf magazines and so forth. Are you in there? Because
we're not in there. We were going to be on Emirates. We're working on a deal for that. But the thing is, we changed our model where, out the gates, yes, we want to be everywhere. But we said, no, we don't. We want to be a members club magazine. And now that leads me to our next thing, which is all of this is turning into a members club. Because of the events, because of the access, we decided to create something that's coming, which we're showing in Monaco in September, which is our AI-powered members club.
So quality over quantity, winning every time with you over there, obviously. You have a huge crowd that follows you in no matter what you're doing. I mean, from, the start of producing your television shows and doing the architecture and now the magazine. And I do want to allow some time for the audience, but I have to ask one question, and that is, you have to tell me about being knighted. Okay. I mean, who gets to do that? You were knighted by a prince from Germany, is that right? And
yeah,
that's how that. And then I want to open it to our audience because maybe people have some questions.
All right, first I'll show you my seal. If you can see that.
Oh, that's
Okay,
cool.
Guys, for those of you who can't see on our podcast, he's really holding up the seal. I mean, it's genuine. Tell us
All right,
about
so
that.
this is how it happened. So, funny story, good story. I'll do it quick. When I was in New York, the president of E-Trade invited me to his home for the Jazz Foundation event. The Jazz Foundation helps jazz players from back in the days get housing, this and that, and supports them. So I'm at this event, very nice event in his home, and I'm with Chevy Chase and Lenny Kravitz's father. The head lady at the Jazz Foundation says to me, "There's a prince that would like to meet you." It's like, okay, like bring him over. So she brings over this German prince, and he starts talking to me. Very proper guy, like nothing like you've ever like witnessed. Like very different. Like I assumed like he has to be royalty, but I was still skeptical. I didn't know, like skeptical of it, right? So then he says, basically, because of who I was married to, I guess they told him, and he says, "Can you make me famous?" Right? And I was like, "Well, it doesn't work like that, but we can work on it." And I gave him my number, and that was it. The next week, I'm working at my architecture firm, and somebody hands me a letter. I don't know how he found out I was at that firm, but it was a letter with a royal seal on it and telling me like he would like to have a meeting with me. And I was like, okay, this guy must be legit because I've never received a letter like this before. So then I met with him and I told him like, look, okay, this is what we can do. I can get you, goes back to the access, right? So I said, I can get you in events. This is how it works in New York. You have to be seen. You have to go to the right events. That's how you're going to become famous if you're not doing like straight up TV. And of course, there was no social media back then. You can't be an influencer. So I took him to some events. I took him to the Judith Lieber event. I would make a card with his name on it, give it to all the photographers, and then I would walk him on the red carpet, and they would take pictures of him, and then it would end up like in the social pages, and then introduce him to celebrities. I introduced him to like Nelly, Lindsay Lohan, Wesley Snipes, a lot of different people, and they were all blown away by him. This happened for over a course of like 2 years in New York. And then we went our separate ways. He went to LA, and then I went to Miami. Then we found each other again on social media. And he was doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. And then he invited me to an event. Well, before that, he asked me to write a letter for him so he could stay in the country. So I wrote at least 2 letters for him to keep him in the country. And like, I don't know. There wasn't ChatGPT back then, so I don't know what I wrote. And then he invited me to an event at Mar-a-Lago where he was hosting. And I went. This was when I won my 4th Emmy. No, actually, this was for the Lotus House Emmy. Yeah, the 4th one. And it was like a big deal at Mar-a-Lago. Everyone was great. So then he was so proud of me and so appreciative. He says, look, I can have my father knight you for your contributions to arts and entertainment and philanthropy. And that happened right before COVID. Yeah. I think right before COVID on Valentine's Day. And I've been going by Sir Michael, and he gave me these royal cufflinks. and
And the
he gave me royal
too. I
cufflinks,
love it.
and then I gave them to my father-in-law in Belgium, and he was over the moon. So yeah, so I've been going by the Sir since then, and it's a real story. It's interesting. It's part of me, and it's kind of like I could have handled that very different ways. I could have blown him off, but I kind of like did what he asked, and I stuck with it, even though he was a bit off at times. He didn't know the American ways, but
Yeah,
it worked out.
the cultural differences. Yeah, and you helped him
Yeah.
out. Wow, that's cool. And you made him famous. I mean,
Can I ask a question, honey?
yes.
Go
yes. Okay.
ahead.
We're opening the thank you for telling us that story about the being knighted. That is really
Yeah, that was
Butler. Go ahead with your question.
very, very interesting, man. I didn't know some of the things you were talking about, the clubs or whatever. But does your wife get upset now because women probably have to go crazy that you're Sir Michael?
No, she's right there with me. She's right there with me. She's Lady Malika.
I'm dying to see this. I'm dying to see her too. By the way, can she come up? We want to see her. Who is this
Hello,
lady
Lady
that you're
Malika.
talking about?
She's.
No pressure, no pressure. But we
You
are.
can see her on
meeting
Instagram. You can see her on Instagram.
We'll see her on Instagram.
She is
That was tacky
delightful.
of me to ask, but I can't wait to meet her. I mean,
But she's right here
so-
listening.
No, the reason I asked that is because my wife is always like the belle of the ball, and so I always say I'm Wendy's husband. But now that you're Sir Michael, your wife's got. I just thought that was so cool. I've never known anybody except for Sir Nick Faldo to be knighted that isn't something in royalty. I think that's pretty cool. So you've done a lot of interesting things, very impressive actually. But the philanthropy is what is dear to my heart. So I really appreciate that. The other stuff is. I guess is how you developed your, whatever your skills took you to that philanthropy, and like Credit said, they gave you the access to the people to really make a difference in people's lives, and that's awesome, just awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, philanthropy is the core of everything I do, and I don't think that. And it's almost like a shield, when you. And it's a confidence booster too, because when you're doing good, like you don't worry about anything else. And I was just in Michigan. My grandmother just turned 106 years old, and she's the biggest philanthropist I know. Like she built churches. She's all about helping everybody. She adopted kids, and and she's still very sharp at 106. Very loving, very funny, very beautiful. She doesn't have any wrinkles. She uses hydrogen peroxide on her skin. And but yeah.
You heard it here, guys. Hydrogen peroxide to 106, no wrinkles. Hey, that's a keeper right there.
You didn't. You did not hear it from us, not these two nurses.
Do we have another question in the audience that you can go ahead and chime in? We're going to take a few more questions. Go ahead and unmute, say your name, and what's your question for our guest, Sir Michael?
Daphne, you have any questions?
Oh my God, I am in love with Sir Michael and your lovely wife. I know I haven't met her yet. I had no idea you were so fascinating. And forgive me, I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty today, so I just couldn't cam up. But yeah, I've been fascinated to hear all about everything, and I'm wondering how did you? And maybe I missed it in the beginning because I was a few minutes late playing with that camera. But how did you get started in the TV? Why were you interested in that in the first place?
Well, my senior year, I was actually working on my senior year in high school. Like I just wrote a script for a karate film, and I worked on it, but thought nothing of it. I never thought like you could go to college for this or film. I never thought anything of it. I just wanted to do it, and I did it, and I thought it was cool. And then fast forward past architecture, I married into this entertainment family. They've done the biggest TV shows and movies and this and that. And that's what allowed me to say, I can do this, And then I received, my ex-wife got like a Mac computer. And with Macs at the time had iMovie on it. And I started, making videos, and I would have my friend film me skateboarding or snowboarding. And I started editing, and that kind of I loved it. I fell in love with it.
So
And
cool.
even in my divorce, their lawyer said he was spending most of his time editing.
And you said snowboarding, so you're active as well then.
Yeah. I snowboard, skateboard, play tennis, swim.
Wow. And do you use that
Ride
hydrogen
horses.
peroxide on your face?
Yes, I do actually.
You're radiant tonight. Thank you for coming on the show.
So we have Migena. Migena, you have a question for Sir Michael. Go ahead, girl.
I love you. Credit. Hi, Sir Michael. We met briefly at Jetson Capital in Miami. And I am super grateful that Wendy has you on board today for this podcast, because I had no idea how incredible you and your lovely wife are, and all the things you're doing in the world. And I love that members only club with the Global magazine. And I see we have many friends in common, but how, oh my God, it's one of those questions in the connecting world. How do you stay connected? Because connecting is one step, but the nurturing of it, what's one advice you can share with all of us? Because you meet people from all walks of life, different seasons in their lives, who speak different languages. And I'm not speaking about the lingo, I'm speaking about the business language. What makes you that awesome friend? And how can we all learn from you?
Well, I learned it from my grandmother, actually. When I used to go to her house, she would always check in on people. Like, she would literally go through her phone and just start calling people and messaging them, whether it's time for a prayer service or this and that. So, I've lost about 3 friends to suicide. And I felt like, man, if I just messaged them, I kind of stayed away too long. So I try to stay, abreast of situations. Like, if people come to the event, I'll check in and ask them if they enjoyed it, follow up with them. I'm not a distant person. However, I do keep a close circle, but I think you just have to stay in the mix, really. And you can't be a recluse, and you have to check in on people and invite them to things. That's one thing that I've been able to do with this magazine, because it's so event driven. Everybody wants to come to my events, so they're checking in on me to see when the next event is. And then I'm checking in on them to invite them to stuff. We're not doing ticketed events. We're not charging anybody. This is you are invited. You don't have to pay for anything. I'm inviting you to something good because you've been chosen, because I love you. You know what I mean?
Well, Sir
That's
Michael,
so beautiful.
wait.
Sorry,
sorry.
Credit,
Yeah.
because I'm taking advantage of the opportunity here. So I I live in New York City, and I know you'll be there Sunday. So I'm looking forward to learning more about the next event and be a part of it and bring value as much as I can.
Awesome.
Now I'm
I'll
going to
actually
mute.
be there Friday to Monday.
Oh,
to
perfect.
Tuesday.
And if you need
Tuesday, Friday to Tuesday.
anyone you want us to help you with, to be in that space, I'm also in the TV space, fashion space, and all this other fun stuff. But super excited to to truly learn more about you today through the Rainmaker Power Hour. So thank you, Wendy, and all the lovely hosts.
Thank you.
So
Thank
real
you,
quick, I
Mickey.
wanted to highlight something. You said one of the ways that you are able to keep in touch with these people and reaching out, and that's always been my thing, is I always check in with people. I've called them, I text. It's not only texting. I think that whole FaceTime and the voice is so, so critical. And a lot of the young generation now, even some of the people that are our age, they have resulted in just texting. How do you feel about the whole voice part, about calling and even for a minute saying, hey, I want to see if you're okay? Because the last time I just came back from California, I had called my CPA and he said he lost my number because he had a new phone or whatever, but he had a heart attack, a CPA having a heart attack on April 15th, which is the tax day. So after the 15th, he went to dinner with friends and he came back and he had a heart attack and he got admitted to the hospital and they thought they were going to just put a stent in there. And it turns out they had to do a triple bypass at that point. But because I checked in with him and I actually called him, not only text him, I was able to connect with him. So what are your thoughts about texting versus actually calling someone and having an app like Chatter that you're able to see visually and see people and connect on that level?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had many text messages taken the wrong way. So it's always good to just get on the phone. Most of my meetings are Zoom. If I'm not meeting at a coffee shop or a restaurant, it's Zoom calls, which I think are amazing. That kind of really kicked off during COVID. But yeah, I think that you need to hear the voice. You need to understand what's being said. You can hear someone's emotions easier, you know? You can't, instead of reading them in the text.
I feel like I've learned a lot from you today. And I mean, just to recap on the things that I have learned, that don't just have a party, have a purpose. I love that. Um, and I think Ollie, you and I are doing a lot of things right now, and we need to make sure that we include that. And Sir Michael, you know, we have some events coming up that you're invited to, so can't wait to see you on there. You know, your key was elevate, and it's kind of my ex. That's my and actually maybe even on this background was the elevate, and I think about that all the time, helping others to keep elevated, stay connected, have some tragic stories about friends that have committed suicide who had world going for them or appeared to be. So yeah, reaching out to others. I love that. I love all of that. You have been a joy today, listening to all the things you've accomplished. Looking forward, what legacy do you hope to leave, Sir Michael?
It's a good question. I mean, when I was like, sometimes I think like, oh my God, like if I pass away, you know, who's going to be at my funeral? Am I going to have enough people there? Or am I going to do a private one? Like, what's it going to look like? And should I start working on a book now? You know, I really want a documentary or a docu-series about my life. Have I done enough for my kids, even though they're both in college and this and that? So I think I want to create something that lives forever. And I think I'm in that world right now with media and content creation. As we know, you know, a song lives forever, a book lives forever, right? And people do not, but their artwork lives forever. And everything I'm doing is artistic, right? But it's art that will channel through generations and inspire, motivate, and bring people together. So I think that's what I want my legacy to be. Someone that brought everyone together in a positive light and can learn and inspire. Yeah.
That was beautiful, inspiring. Wendy, you said
It
we have
is
lots of hands
beautiful.
up today.
Still some more. Let me see. Who's
Oh, yeah.
who's
And
got a
look,
hand
did you see that? We also have Michael Austin in the house.
I know Michael Austin is in the house. I recognized
I
him
think he had a
earlier.
hand
We're
up.
so
He has
happy.
a question. Michael
He has a
has a
question.
question. Yes, let's do
Go
it.
ahead, Michael.
Hey guys, good to talk to you.
Hey, Michael. Welcome back.
Oh, it's good to be back. Hey, Sir Michael, I got a quick question. Being in the music industry, and I know you were talking about how you'd lost some friends, and I too have lost friends to suicide. The thing about it is I started a thing called Phone for Friends. I called it the C4 challenge during COVID. The problem I started running into though is even though you have friends in the industry, they have gatekeepers. What's the best advice you can give somebody that's friends with somebody, but you just don't seem to get past their gatekeepers at times? That's the most frustrating thing, I think. Having somebody's phone number, but their managers or their gatekeepers are changing those numbers 3 to 6 months at a time. So, do you have any advice about that?
I mean, that's hard. I think that you just have to find different channels. Sometimes, you might have the gatekeepers, but the artist might have a direct line to their mother or their brother, and you can go direct to them, and with your message that can be passed on. I think that's the only way I see it happening. But yeah, I do understand that once you get to a certain level, you have your managers, your PR, you got everything. But I do think that there's always a direct line with somebody, and you just have to find that.
I appreciate you, man. I've enjoyed listening to the stories for sure, and much more success to you in your future, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think Nigelon had a quick question. Nigelon, are you still there? You want to round it up before we shut the podcast down?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sir Michael, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you. My question is kind of two-part, especially just off of what you said as it surrounds around legacy. So the first part is, as a person my name is Najlan. I'm building out a venture that's focused on storytelling for entrepreneurs. And then I have a production company I'm in Houston, but I have a production company in Miami that I help oversee. And so as someone, and then, director of development for a nonprofit focused on juvenile justice, but as someone who's passionate about multiple things, wears multiple hats, how do you, I guess, delegate your time and energy to the things that, you're passionate about, but then also the things that, that pays the bills? How do you wear multiple hats, but still wear those hats as an extension of yourself? I hope that question makes sense. It sounds like you have your hands in a lot of things. How do you, when you're talking with someone, connecting with someone, if I caught you in the elevator and you were giving me your elevator pitch, what would that 30-second elevator pitch be?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the magazine, right? Magazine has a ton of articles. It has ads. It has a lot going on. But I'm able to bring it all together with one focused, identity and purpose, and it all is seamlessly working together, right? So that's kind of how I do it. And again, I come from architecture. I studied 5 years. I worked as an architect, and it's overwhelming to think that, a building is like, how's the building put together? When I'm designing, I have to think of the electricity, the plumbing, the kitchen, the flooring, the windows, but so I was trained to think at all different levels and then bring it together to create one thing.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Thank you again for joining us.
and for some reason I'm not able to see the hands today. So co-host just helped me with that. But
Yeah, I think we got through all the questions.
we did.
But we kind of want to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Sir Michael.
Credit. I have one last question, Sir Michael.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there any way, with all your contacts, that you can introduce me to Bradley Cooper? I mean, I'm just asking.
Bradley Cooper for
Bradley Cooper.
What?
But-
Yeah,
Okay,
Red. Yeah, Red.
We knew you knew it. We know you know it.
When
Oh, there he is.
I remember years ago when the iPhone came out with Surrey, and I was all excited, and I was with my kids. My daughter was like 9 years old, 10 years old. And I said to her, I was like, this phone can do whatever you want. Like, you can do whatever, it speaks to you. She grabbed the phone from me and said, call Justin Bieber.
Exactly. Well, of course, I'm halfway kidding, if you know what I mean. But anyway.
Well, listen, Sir Michael,
Listen.
I since you couldn't see my face, I want to take one more opportunity to personally to Daphne Christina. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. This was truly a pleasure personally for me to listen to everything tonight. So I know that the audience surely enjoyed it as well.
Thank you for having me, everybody.
And we'd
Thank
love
you,
to
of
have
course.
you back. Yeah, we'd love to have you
Certainly
back in
would.
the future because we're going to have, I think we have a lot more questions as you're doing more events, and we're going to come up with more stuff. But how can we support you, Sir Michael? What
Yeah,
can we do? Is there a charity that you're working on now that we could highlight?
You can go to, if everybody goes on Global Billionaire Instagram, you're going to see an array of charities. Even starting tomorrow, I'm posting one that Martha Stewart was at, the dog rescue charity in New York. That's tomorrow's post. So there's so many charities that you can learn something about. You can go on the website, theglobalbillionaire.com. There's a philanthropy club. You can learn about charities, and you can sign up to be a member of the philanthropy club. We pair people to different charities. We get people involved. We don't only do content for these charities, but we get dirty. We're packing boxes for giving out turkeys and Thanksgiving, and packing boxes for toys for kids during Christmas. So I would love, you could DM me. I run the account. You could DM me direct, and I could let you know what's happening in Miami, what events are happening here, what's happening in New York, and I would love to, continue the conversation. We got a lot going on. We're just getting started.
I love it. Just getting started, and looking forward to actually meeting you in person. We were at the same event at Jetson Capital, but I didn't have the opportunity to meet you. But obviously, I believe you're going to be at WealthCon coming up at the end of May. Is that right?
Correct.
Or no? Is that?
Yes, I'll be there.
Okay, yeah.
I cannot wait to see
So
you.
anyway, maybe at the jet party that we're co-hosting with Ollie. And speaking, a big thank you to Ollie and Smarter Aircraft for sponsoring us today. Again, the next generation of private aviation investment, smarteraircraft.com. And of course, you can find him there and hit his profile here to see all of his links. And guys, just hit all of the co-hosts and follow them here on Chatter. And Sir Michael, we so appreciate you. Tell your wife, thank her for allowing you to spend so much time with us. And we wish you well with all of your. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for everybody. Thank you, Nigel and Paul, to our tech guys, for all that you do. You guys have a good night. We'll see you.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Sir Michael. Bye, Ollie. Bye, Wendy.
Bye-bye.
And I sent you a message, Sir Michael.
All right.